Jefferson Davis is known today as the first and only president of the Confederacy during the Civil War.
Jefferson Davis was a man who sought every way possible to avoid civil war. And it is interesting that he was sought out to lead the Confederacy as the president when he was not one of those who had advocated secession in the first place.
The youngest of 10 children, Jefferson Davis was born on June 3, 1808. He entered the U.S. Military Academy at West Point and graduated in 1828, 1 year before Robert E. Lee.
Following West Point, Jefferson Davis served in frontier posts and, interestingly, served under Colonel Zachary Taylor, whose daughter he married, but his wife, Sarah, passed away after only 3 months, and Davis was, of course, devastated by this. He then left the Army.
For the next 10 years, Davis farmed cotton on his plantation, Briarfield. During this period, the 35-year-old Davis married Verena Howell, a teenager half his age from a leading Mississippi family.
Then he entered into politics, being elected to the House of Representatives.
When the Mexican-American War broke out, Davis resigned from Congress and re-entered the Army as a colonel of Mississippi Volunteers.
He served with great distinction in that war, gaining a reputation as a brave, smart tactician and someone who could command a regiment.
Davis gained fame at the Battle of Buena Vista under then-General Zachary Taylor, and this fame catapulted him into the U.S. Senate following the war.
Davis left the Senate in 1851 to run for the Mississippi governorship, but lost. 2 years later, President Franklin Pierce appointed him his Secretary of War. He returned to the U.S. Senate in 1857, where he served until Mississippi left the Union in January 1861, and was sworn in as the Confederacy's first president a month later.
Jefferson Davis had served his country basically his entire life in a variety of capacities, and yet was willing to put a sectional interest ahead of his years of national service.
On May 10, 1865, Jefferson Davis was captured by Union forces and charged with treason.
Jefferson Davis was imprisoned for 2 years in Fort Monroe, awaiting a possible trial for treason. If he was acquitted, then the South's cause would be justified, and if he was convicted, then he could become the martyr of the cause. So the North decides just to let him go.
Jefferson Davis was released through the efforts of his then devoted wife, Verena, and also his good friend, former President Franklin Pierce. He then toured the South, wrote books, and advocated reconciliation, though he never acknowledged the fact that the South didn't have the right to secede in the first place.
Jefferson Davis lived the rest of his life as the symbol of a lost cause and died in New Orleans in 1899.